What's up, everyone? Welcome to Barstool Breakdown. Today is Saturday, September 9th, and we got a great show for you today, and we got an interview with the $100,000 man, Nicky Smokes. Let's get it.
Get sturdy as fuck.
This is it.
I should be over all the butterflies, but I'm into you. And baby, even on the worst nights, I'm into you.
All right, welcome to Barstool Breakdown. I'm Frankie. I'm here with my co-host, Jonathan. What a week it's been, Jonathan. What do you got, brother?
Yeah, another great week in Barstool as always. Barstool Radio. Let's lead off with that. Barstool Radio had a lot going on this week. You had the pizza review talk. You had Dom of the Year on. They went over, Mook getting taken down last week by Peyton. They went over how Nate is looking at hardcore gay porn all the time or whatever. But the big thing was, and then also they had Chicken Fry in to talk about how she's mad at her coworkers and doesn't like working at Barstool. But the big thing was Clemmer. It was Clemmer and Dave. It was the argument, heard around the Barstool world. Dave even had to write a blog about it. It was just, exciting week in radio. It seems like radio is starting to get its vibe back, and it's because we're seeing a lot more of that Barstool drama come out now. That is just, regular Barstool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it was almost like old days. It just felt like he was yelling at Smitty. I think that's what he was doing. I felt like he just got the old feel of Barstool Radio and was just like, oh, Clemmer just reminds me of Smitty right now. So I'm just going to go like I was off, like he does off Smitty. Because I don't know, like we spoke about it on Stoolie Wednesday quite a bit. Most people had Clemmer's back. Everyone was saying, Lave Lortnoy. But, Dave's never going to take an L. So, yeah. So
I don't know. Even KFC even said that since he wrote the blog, that kind of identifies that he took the L because he started the blog. He was
100%. My point is he will never accept the L.
Oh no, absolutely not. It's Dave Portnoy. Even when he loses,
I was going to say I don't think he's ever accepted one in his entire life.
Yeah. No.
Whether it be a sports teams or whatever, he's always got some sort of excuse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it was just a little weird to me, honestly. I think since we never even said what we're talking about here is the Mean Girls tweet. They sent the tweet out, saying showing up to work on a Monday and when not being fired when every Stoolie wishes you were or whatever it was. It was a tweet or it was a video from June 16th or something. So it was just a reused video. Jordan tried to say that she knew it was Tuesday but put Monday because everyone thinks they're dumb. Great job trying to cover that up. We all know what happened there, but it was funny either way, honestly. I mean, we had Nick on the show. We had Nick on Stoolie Wednesday and stuff. He's a cool dude. He doesn't care about that shit. He knows what content is, so he was fine with it.
Right.
But a lot of people weren't, and it's because, Dave is right. They do have hate, but it's because they brought it on themselves. When you don't show up and, it's like, oh, when they were showing up, everyone hated them too. Well, it's like, I don't think that's true. I think that's just a cop-out. And I don't mean to keep going on this, but the craziest thing to me that Dave said was that Clemmer was the last guy on the bench and that the last guy on the bench shouldn't be speaking up on Derek Jeter, which then thankfully he clarified that Derek Jeter wasn't the Mean Girls, that he was Derek Jeter. But the craziest part is if someone on the Yankees, the last guy on the bench, started chirping Derek Jeter or whatever, he wouldn't even give an ounce of care to it, in my opinion. He would just be like, I'm fucking Derek Jeter. Move on. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the type of leadership that Jeter had. And I'm a Mets fan. I hate Jeter, but I just feel like that comparison, I was like, I don't know if that's a great comparison because that's why I think Clemmer was taking the dub, because when you start comparing the Mean Girls to Jeter, then switching it to you and then just continually going and going and going, like you saw how it was on Stoolie Wednesday. Everyone was like talking about Chris Clemmer took the dub there,
Yeah. Well, it looked like Clemmer did take the dub, but as far as the comparisons go, it's whatever to me. It's more so like Dave telling him not to chirp when us Stoolies love when they're chirping at each other. So I'm cool with Clemmer chirping, but I understand what Dave's saying. It's like you didn't work all weekend. That was the big deal. Is Clemmer didn't write a blog over the holiday weekend after Dave just laid off 25% of the company. It's like show up and do your work. But I don't know, Clemmer took that with a grain of salt. I was like, yeah, you're right, I was wrong. But yeah, it was definitely the most entertaining part of radio this week for me. And then they even had him on Thursday to talk about if he took the dub over Dave or not. I actually, it was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, he'd even had, Feidelberg is always on Dave's side. He's not as bad as Tommy, but he's scared of Dave. We all know it, and he knows it. Like, he's going to just take Dave's side to just be on his good side. And he called Clemmer the sheriff. He was saying, he was backing him up quite a bit, even to Dave, which was just, I don't know. To me, that was kind of a sure sign of
I feel like he was
like
kind of just like
Clemmer's.
trying to help Clemmer. He was like trying to like, hey, like
Yeah,
I kind of see what he's saying, but it's because Clemmer just like wasn't getting his point across concisely, and like Dave was ready to actually
because he
fire
was
him on
scared
it.
as shit.
But yeah,
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
you
what I
be?
think he was
It's
scared
you
of, and I
versus
was
Pez,
too. I
yeah.
thought for sure it was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but yeah, it was definitely the highlight of the week. But I mean, chicken fry, getting mad at your coworkers is also like, dude, it's Barstool. You're working at Barstool. It's how it goes. Like, there's a lot that went on in radio this week that it's good to see the beefs are back because that's like what us stoolies love. We love the inside drama and shit. But yeah,
Yeah, it helps
I mean,
radio too.
Clemmer won the week for me in radio for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was the top story. That's all I really had notes on was that stuff too. Um, just because yeah, that's Barstool Radio. If we don't have those dramas, then we're just sitting there listening to Pat and Tommy and fights and try to say stuff while KFC talks over them. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate, all the different dramas that we get with radio, even if they're just manufactured by Dave or within the company. So I'm with it.
All right, if that's all you got on radio, I'm gonna roll over to part of my take. Another good week for the boys. Football's all the way back. And it was a whole week of football. It was Field Yates, Pete Priscilla, or however you say his name, Dalvin Cook, Dan Patrick. Great interviews as always for the gang, the PMT gang. And then they also did a pancakes only draft, which was obviously electric. They put it at the end of the show because it was that electric. Just them saying names they didn't know. They were drafting defensive tackles and stuff by accident. But it's good to hear like the football show back, then previewing football games, fantasy fuck boys. It helps know that hey, it's that time of season. Let's lock in. It's time to eat a bunch of shitty food, sit on your couch on Saturday and Sunday, and just watch fucking 12 hours of football both days. And it's the best time of year. Fall is here. Shout out Stella Blue Coffee. Go get the apple crisp. Go get what's the other one? The pumpkin spice. Is it pumpkin
Pumpkin.
spice?
Yep.
Pumpkin spice apple crisp. Leroy is on the apple crisp. If you don't buy Stella Blue, you hate dogs, so that's on you. But yeah, I mean, part of my take, and shout out Plug God because that's me now. But yeah, part of my take, always a good watch, always a good week for those guys because they're the best in the game.
Yeah, no doubt. And one of the things I had here was Max, again, at Philly Mays, said the golf video comes out next week. So there we go. Told you guys if you tweet at him, he'll tell you when it comes out. And there we go. We got the answer. So if you're looking for the Ryder Cup video, though, keep tweeting at him because we haven't got that date yet.
Yeah, my last note on PMT was Jake giving his PowerPoint, which was hilarious on he gave a PowerPoint on the I forget the guy's name,
Larry
but the guy
St. Clair.
Larry St. Clair on he had to listen to the full 41-minute interview. Apparently they all think he's a liar. I probably agree with that take. But yeah, it was just a hilarious PowerPoint for him to have to do. He disclosed in the first two slides saying like he was being made to do it, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing this for? Like future employers? You covering your ass here? They're like saying we made you do it." Yeah, right. But I mean, Jake did a great job with the presentation. I got to learn a lot without watching the 41 minutes of bullshit. So it was solid. Shout out.
Well,
Tucker
he
Carlson,
didn't
I
watch
guess.
41 minutes. He watched 20 and a half minutes because he had it on
Okay.
2x speed. He admitted.
Gotcha. That's true. That's true.
Which
Yeah, that's why.
I
Yeah, it made Big Cat change his mind.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I always say that I listen to things on like 1.25 or 1.5x, and like the 1.5, dude, that stuff like you got to be like kind of locked in, or else it starts making your head go a little crazy. Listening to that thing on 2x, like I don't even know what that shit must have been like. It just sounded crazy. Just listening to a guy come up with some crazy story about how he had sex with Obama on Tucker Carlson. Like,
Yeah,
I
that
don't know. I couldn't
fast.
even
That's
imagine. It
crazy.
sounded like a bunch of mice yelling at each other or something. If you want to move into the yak like we normally do, the first note that I had down was that the fantasy draft by Che that Sass hated because he just wanted to play fantasy football and was just so against it. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Have one QB, one running back, one receiver, one tight end, one kicker. I
It
just thought
wasn't
that was
really the
such a cool
premise.
way.
It wasn't really like how it
What do you
like
mean?
I understand like the layout, the people, but it was how the draft was done with like the John Rich Jeopardy stuff, and then like Che was
Well, that
trying to make
was
rules. Yeah, but Che was also trying to make rules like like I don't know. He was making up rules like as it went, but so I kind of sided with Sassy. It's like, dude, I want to play fantasy. Like, what the hell? Like, this isn't it. This is what I
well.
want to do.
I could see where like I hated the draft way it was too, and that's why it's funny because Big Cat was like, "Oh, okay, then we'll do it this way." No, I like this way now. It makes sense now. Whatever. We all take wide receivers and whatever. Like, I didn't think that way was good. I thought they could have just done it the way that you want. You just do 1 through whatever, and then you go back up to the top, and they pick whatever they want. And
Right.
Brandon was like, "Oh, so like Nicky's going to get the best player." Like, do you see how many questions they got wrong? And they could have just did what they originally thought, and everyone could have got equal picks, but I guess they would have ran out of questions, whatever. It was just a disaster, in my opinion. I liked the 5-player thing, is all I was saying. I think that
Yeah.
for
No,
the
I
Yak,
get you.
especially, and for us, I think that's cool. It reminds me kind of like the Dingers only thing, except for, like just points and good players and things like that. So I thought that part was cool of it. And I do believe that's why Sass was more pissed off, was that it was just like, why are we doing this stupidity? I just want to do a draft and I want to play fantasy football. I think he would have been fine with a normal draft if it was just
Right.
fantasy football with those 5 players. But the whole, John Rich thing and everything kind of threw him off.
Yeah, no, I mean it works for the Yak. The best part of the draft was the end of the draft for me when Nick had to switch teams with Kate. He had to switch full teams. He had a great team. Kate's team was terrible, like in comparison to the other one. So it was
Yeah,
funny because he was like
that
actually
was
upset. He was
terrible.
like he was actually like pretty upset. But it's funny because it was Nick's idea to trade whole teams, so it kind of backfired on him.
Yeah, of course. Dude, Nick created the wheel. Like, he was the one that said we should do some sort of wheel that, like, if it lands on us, we got to get wet. Like, he said that first. So like, and the wheel targets him all the time. I feel like it's such a like, I don't know, double-edged sword where it was like such a good idea, but he gets fucked by the wheel all the time. It's crazy. And like one more thing from that episode, was Rudy was drafting for Roan, or was drafting for KB, right?
Yeah, he was
And then
drafting
Mark
for
Titus was
KB
drafting
and
for
Mark
Roan.
Titus and Roan. Yeah,
right. So he's drafting for KB, and at the end of it, they do whatever, and then they start talking about the bracket buskers people, like, and they're like, all right, if you can name 3 people or whatever to Titus or whatever it was, and then they pull it up, and it was whatever the 6 people were, because I'm not even going to mention them because Rudy's line was hysterical. He just goes, "Oh God, nightmare blunt rotation." And it just floored me, dude. I was crying when he said that. I mean, some of the people don't work there anymore. Some of them do. So like I said, I'm not even going to mention names, but watch the episode. What a line it was. I was going to say this kind of leads right into the Data Day disaster, but we got to mention before that, because it was shown on the Yak, was the Dukes video. Who should have the MVP should have been.
yeah.
Just an all-time video. Shirt coming out now. So I love that Dukes is running with it. But
Shout out
yeah, he said
Brando.
should and shoulda 500 times in like one sentence. It was
Yeah, who should the MVP should have been? Yeah, and Brando with the remix of all remixes, a great parody song. Shout out FSU
I was
Brando,
just gonna
fucking
say,
crushed it with that one.
All right, we're asking people who the MVP should have been. Who should the MVP should have been?
Who should have the MVP should have been? Who should have the MVP should have been again? Who should the MVP should have been? Who should have the MVP should have been? Who should have the MVP should have been? Who should have the MVP should have been?
That one. You said it's still in your head. You're ready to pull a bullet in your head because you've been just singing it in your head all day. I mean,
well,
it's such
it's
a good
like,
song that I could play it on repeat, Brando. Don't listen to Frank. Yeah, I could play it on repeat for you, buddy, because it was that good. It was a great parody. It was in that song is always stuck in my head for some reason from that one Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man. So it's like, I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend.
yeah.
We could
See, that
cut
part's
ties
not
with all the
stuck though.
lines you've been living
It's
in. Yeah.
like in my classroom, like when it was like between classes or like, like as I was like walking on my car, it was just the entire time I was just, who should have the MVP should have been. I'm like, why is this in my fucking head? Get
I
out. And
would
then like, but I also just smile
understand.
every
Yeah,
time.
it's a
Every
great
single time
song.
I say it, I just smile. Like I should just message Brando because he was so thankful that it was stuck in my head, which was hilarious.
Yeah,
But yeah, shout out FSU Brando. Dude's got like, first of all, if you're not following This Week in Barstool parodies on Twitter, that's where he posts most of the songs, if not all of them, and then either retweets them or posts them on his own page too. But follow FSU Brando, follow This Week in Barstool parodies. Unbelievable. Shout
yeah,
out
they're
FSU
great.
Brando. That's all I gotta say.
They're always great. They're always great. Yeah, Brandon's the man. But yeah, rolling right back into Data Day. I mean, we can roll right into another legendary stoolie. Cliff has a collectible now because Data Day was a bust. Che lost the VP of football operations, so the sign is a no-go. Straight from Big Cat. I loved how Cliff tweeted at him and said no at Barstool Big Cat and like not
Yeah,
taking
that
it
was
down,
great.
whatever.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Good little back and forth. But yeah, the sign's a collectible. So like Cliff should put it up for auction. Maybe Che will bid on it and put it at his house because it's not going to work at the new office for him. But yeah, Data Day. I mean, you've made he made this mistake in 2021. Like Brand also shout out Brando. We tweeted out that clip first time he made the mistake. You can't have that happen on Data Day if you're the data guy. And also, like it was funny with like Titus being there. It's like this isn't data. Like you're just doing like wins and losses.
Yeah,
There's
because he
no
was
like
it was his
actual.
first. Yeah, it was his first data day. When it's your first data day and you're that guy, you're gonna be like, "What is this?" And that's why everyone's like, "No, no, 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 don't." And they're like, "Actually, no, no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. You'll see what we get to deal with now." It's just
Yeah,
like
right.
it spits out the data. He's like, "No, you do it. You spit out the data. It's not. It doesn't do it. You do it."
Yeah, it's not that unless it's in Excel. But I love that
Yeah,
everyone was like against Che, but like KB would be like, no, 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 like explain your process. You're good. You're doing good.
always.
Like again, like KB was KB had his side. It was so funny. Also, I love that KB's back. You know, after such a
Hell
terrible
yeah,
thing, but seeing him back on the show and having him back, he's the man. He's looking jacked as always. Yeah, I mean,
dude.
it's
His
good to have
arms are
Clay.
huge.
I know I got to get his arm routine, man. I'm getting there, just not there yet.
I was gonna say, I
Uh,
feel like my arms are big too, but like I'm almost like embarrassed now because he's definitely like smaller person than me in general. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm a huge build kind of guy, and like he's like definitely not, but his arms are huge, dude.
yeah,
So
Nate Dogg actually put him in the rankings blog, just literally mentioning how Buffy looked. I think like he
yeah,
might have been like on the list for something, but like that was all he said. He's like, "Good God, when this guy commits, he commits." Like he's gotten so jacked.
that's for
Remember,
damn sure.
he was dressed
That's
up
for
as like
damn sure.
it's a skater forever ago, and like he was a skinny little twig, and now he's fucking jacked. Like I don't know.
That's true. When he had that like Invader Zim looking outfit on, dude, he was looking skinny as fuck, dude. It's a little tan that he had.
Yeah, it's funny as fuck. But yeah,
Uh,
that a day, all in all, a failure for Che. Yeah, it's tough. Tough day for Steven. Losing your title and not like you're supposed to be the data guy, and like how are we supposed to trust the data if the data's not right?
yeah, well, so I didn't want to like just say this because I wanted to like tweet the clip out or like have some backup. But I was like, I cannot watch another, like, I can't rewatch Data Day from last year to find this part. But he kept bragging about, yeah, anybody can do this, but you're never going to equal it up. It's never going to equal the right amount of games. I have it set so it equals the right amount of games and blah, blah, blah. Dude, he went on about this last year. And I remember speaking, I think it was during Stoolie Wednesday, and I was like, why would the games not add up? I don't understand
Yeah.
what he's talking about. Like, you just do the games versus each other, and they're always going to add up because he's doing every game.
He also said
And
that
then
he
it
spotted.
happened. I was like,
He
what the
also said
fuck?
that he spotted the culprit, and it was like 5 games that weren't scheduled. But that doesn't make sense. Like how like it still wouldn't add up to me. Like it didn't make sense. If it's 5 games, you put in 5 more losses and 5 more wins. Like it's still. I just think he had the number wrong. Like that's all it was.
I was going to say, he was 10 off of,
Yeah. So what's
he had
five
more
games make a
losses, right?
difference? Yeah.
Right. If it
But
was
if you
five
if you do
games,
5 games,
then
you're getting 5 winners
both
and five
teams can't win.
losers. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Right.
I'm backing you up 100% there as a
Yeah.
math teacher. I'm just making sure I'm
It
making
doesn't
sure I
make
give you my
sense.
backup there because that doesn't work at all.
No, not at all.
But that's Stephen Che for you, dude. He'll come out and he'll give you whatever whatever kind of data or whatever kind of knowledge that he thinks he can hit you with, and then just you just go, oh, okay. Which
Yeah.
guess what?
Shout
Most
out,
people
shout
do at
out,
this point.
Mincy. Mincy is the new VP of football operations starting Thursday, and also
You think he
he's
got that job because he didn't get tricked? You think it's because he's more savvy now?
I think they would have just said Mincy, like regardless. But yeah, I think
No, I'm just
he's
kidding.
getting
I was just trying to be segue god into
he,
that because
he
that
got
was bullshit
tipped off. He got tipped off.
for
Someone tipped him
sure.
off.
I'm on
Yeah.
to you, Cruz. I'm on to you.
You think it's Cruz doing that? I don't know if Cruz is watching the
No,
Yak
I
Live. You
don't. I
think it
just
is?
wanted to call him out.
Yeah, I think some stoolie was in Mincy's DMs and letting him know, or maybe he did like check in and didn't say he like was checking in. He's like, I'm getting a weird call. Let me look at the Yak real quick because that's real easy to do. But yeah, they got to start They got to prank call him at different times and stuff, and then just record it and show it on the Yak the next day or something.
Yeah, it's funny because he did say like any call I get during this time. So I was like, oh, maybe someone didn't tip him off. Maybe he did just like say like, come on, like no, who's calling me during this time or whatever. But yeah, Mook was right on, by the way, coming up with like Chris C. Riley or whatever it was. Like he just came up with a name that was a real person that had Twitter followers and shit. Like that's hilarious.
Yes. Yeah, Mook was ready to go. Well, he said it was his burner and he just changed it real quick.
Oh
But
shit.
yeah, and it was
I
his
missed that
burner.
part.
Yeah, he said it was his
Oh,
burner and
shit.
he just changed it real quick and like put a picture and like changed the bio and stuff as he went, which is also doing that on the fly is impressive. But yeah, having Mook on the Yak is becoming a common thing this week, and I enjoyed it. Mook does really well on the Yak. I think he's one of Big Cat's like favorites. He's always like saying something to Mook. Like he called Mook in today. He was like, Mook, come over here. Like I want you to announce something for me. Like yeah, Mook's getting more involved with more people outside of just Nick and KB, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Anus fan as well, so like seeing him on the Yak is kind of awesome for me, and I'm really hoping that he kind of takes Sass or Roan's chair more often than not. He's in that office, so throw him in there. He's got insane stories. I mean, he's always saying shit, and you're just like, wait, is that real? Like how has he not told this story before? Like he's just got so many. You're just like, what? So,
Right.
shout out Mook.
Speaking of Mook, let's just roll right into Anus. Like I said already, KB is back. KB is back, and like even the intro it was awesome because like they did the intro with Neil, not Neil, with they did the intro with Nick, and went right like did the whole intro song, and then it comes back and it was like, and welcome back to me, and it's
welcome back. Oh man, I can't be sagging that low in the chair. Welcome back to a new Untold Story, episode 422.
360, and welcome back to me.
And it's KB. Like great way to do it, and having him back was cool. He was on Mook's ass to start the show, but I mean, just having that that whole dynamic back when it's just Nick, KB, Rudy, and Mook. That's the Anus boys, and that's what we like to see. We like to see all the boys of Anus in Anus at once. Like good times. It was a great show, and then like Mook caught a dub with Travis Hunter this week, acknowledging his tweet.
That's what I thought you were going to start with.
The whole video. Yeah, well, yeah. KB being back was the biggest thing for me. But yeah, Mook.
No, for sure. I was just saying because you were talking about Mook, and that was just like I thought you were just going to segue right into that. I was hoping you were going to mention this because God, he is killing it on Twitter lately.
Yeah, he's been on fire. I think the tweet was, "I'm about to go Travis Hunter on the bar." At the bar right now, and it said like both girls and guys or something like that, and like there was a clip of Travis Hunter. Maybe I'll try to find a clip and piece it in here.
You seen that tweet? That boy big on both ways of you, bro. You're inspiration. No, did you see that tweet? Yeah, bro. I tagged you on Instagram. I feel like Travis Hunter. I'm gonna go both ways at the bar. I put on my story. I said, bro, you got people going both ways, bro.
Yeah, Mook's a man. Rudy's catching L's this week, just yelling Africa at drummers. Strange thing to do.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that Mook is just consistently getting these dubs on Twitter is just so funny to me. And the fact that it's like a lot of it's like in black Twitter too, and he's just like the whitest person ever with like the reddest hair is just so awesome to me. I think those opposites attract.
He was waiting for it to backfire once it hit Black Twitter. He said, and like Rudy was like, "What was that wait like?"
Yeah, right. So it's just funny because that like was one of the main things I had there. But the fact you mentioned KB's back, how amazing it is. I was nervous. I was because like that's a huge like thing to have to deal with, and then come back on a podcast and then just try to be your funny self where, you make these like quirky and weird jokes that are like exponentially hard to understand unless you have like a really like quick mind with things, and him and Nick do that all the time. And so he starts telling like, he's appreciative of everyone that reached out, and his dad's reading this stuff and, whatever. And then he starts like telling the story. And at first I was like, man, this is going to be like heavy. Like this is Kyle telling a story about his mom's funeral. But in just typical KB fashion, it was to make us laugh because KB's mom's priest forgot the funeral, just didn't show. Like they're all there in their suits and whatever. And the priest just forgot. And, KB, of course, like was mentioning this and like it wasn't really funny at first because you're just like, wait, like what the fuck? The priest forgot, whatever. And then all of a sudden he goes, yeah. So he texted and was like, I'm sorry, forgot. Please forgive me. And he's like, is that it? He's like, that's all you have to do as a priest. You just say, please forgive me and just get away with fucking anything. He's like, they forgot my mom's funeral. Like I was just dying. And of course he said that like in a joking way to show that he was back. And I was just like, what a hilarious thing. And then, of course, he went on to say that, I forget what he said. He said something like, yeah, this other priest was of Asian descent. And like, he didn't know how to say it. And he was like, he was a Filipino priest. And like, he's like, he just didn't know my mom. He just started saying like, she loved to have parties. And he's like, no, she didn't. She fucking hated having people over. She despised that, So he's like, but the guy did the best he could. He's like, who has a, fill-in priest? He's like, that's crazy. Like, it was just like, he used that, his, like trauma that he's dealing with and stuff. And he used it to make jokes and to be funny. And it's just, to me, it was like, that's KB in a nutshell and he's back. So shout out KB, thoughts and prayers still. We love you, but to have you back this quickly and to, you're right back in with the jokes. You are 1,000% right. You get at least another week or two to
No, he has until
say
Big
whatever
Cat
you want.
declared. Big Cat said on the yak he has until the end of September. So.
Yes, let's move into most dangerous game. That was the probably biggest thing out of production side to come out of Barstool this week. The videos, like we talk about every single week, are unbelievable. The just different cuts, the amount of cameras they're obviously using, it just looks like such a real game show. And to be the Barstool characters that we know, it is amazing. It is kind of weird now for me though, because I'm starting to like think about what Pat said, which is like they're actual coworkers and they are not just like people that are meeting and then they're not going to see each other. Like they need to see each other. So it's tough. Like, do you fuck this person over? Do you do this or that, whatever. But speaking of Pat, dominated the ring challenge, made everyone look kind of like fools because even Francis was like, how is this not, I feel like I'm going fast, whatever. And I was just like, wow, like how could nobody follow this thing? So, Pat the Snake got the W and, yeah, I'll let you take over from there.
Yeah, but he lost in the end. Whatever. Pat the Snake got the W. He tried to work everybody against my guy Spider. Backfired on him because the Fireside 5 is strong. So fuck you, Pat. You're gone next. If he doesn't keep winning challenges, then he's gone. If he doesn't keep winning challenges, people are going to gun after Pat because Pat has tried to work everyone and play everyone, and he's been a snake to everybody. He's stayed true to nobody. So yeah, I think if Pat doesn't win, he's done. The Fireside 5 was strong. But yeah, and then, like that little look that he gave to the camera, that little smile after he got playing like stealing candy from a band. Like stealing candy from a baby. He said, like I don't know, the Francis
most cliche line ever.
Yeah, and then Jackie fucked herself talking like to Francis, and it was like basic like that's why I think swung the vote was Francis, but yeah, she's like, if you don't vote for me, then I'm gonna get everyone to vote for you, or vote for Spider.
Yeah, that was a wild. That was a wild move, and
her negotiation skills just aren't top tier. That's it. She just didn't know what else to do but threaten him.
Yeah, and it was just wild because like Francis was ready to vote, with Pat. Like I feel like Francis is like a little weird in this game. I'm not sure if he's just really like actually playing his smarts and he's kind of being like, oh yeah, I'm going to side with Pat. I'm just going to vote for Spider, because right before that he was like Fireside 5, Spider, like he was all into that. So
I think
I don't know if he's just playing the game.
it's
What's up?
smartest to eliminate Pat's alliances now and then wait for Pat to fuck up and get Pat out, because he knows that Pat is a good player at the game. So I think that's kind
Yeah,
of
and Spider said that.
yeah, it could have been Jackie that like made him like do it, but in the end, I think Francis was always looking to kind of screw over Pat a little bit because he's been playing the game very well, and he's like, you
Yeah,
got to
and that's the
you
thing
got to take
too.
his alliance out.
When you tell people like, oh, I'm going to tell Megan she's staying with me, and then I'm not going to tell her the plan, whatever, and then like basically saying like she's the next one we're going to vote out, like he just had too much confidence and too much like, oh, this is what's going to happen. So I did like the fact that Spider got Rudy and Francis kind of like in the mix, and even Grace was there, and they were just like, yeah, we got to get Pat out like next or whatever. So feels like that's definitely the next person that has a target if he doesn't win, like you said. But I really do think that if Pat would have just grabbed Jackie and took Jackie to the house, they could have kept their alliance, and they basically, I guess Jackie still would have got voted out, but at least it wouldn't have been so sketchy like it was, where he's like, oh, I'm going to tell Megan she's going to stay with me and I'm going to get her on my side, but I'm not going to tell her that we're voting out Jackie. Did he not realize like literally 3 hours or a couple, whatever it was later, like they're going to see the votes and everyone's going to vote for Spider. And then Megan's going to be like, what the fuck, Pat? We thought we were voting for Pat or for Jackie, and you lied to me. So like he's just lying all over the place. And I think Jackie should have just been like, by the way, Pat came and saw me that first day, whatever, because that would have been fucking all time. The fact that she didn't mention that, I thought was a miss.
Yeah, she definitely had a chance to turn, but yeah, she was on the chopping block against Spider, and Spider's more of a vibes guy, I guess. Like he, stayed strong. So Fireside Five's alive. Pat's going down next, I think. If he doesn't win the challenge, he's going down, or if he doesn't get saved. All right, I'm gonna roll right into the dozen battle royale. It's a 1v1 competition that Jeff DeLow came up with. I'm guessing. I mean, he must be writing a ton of questions for these guys, but it's an interesting way that they're doing it. It's not like true trivia to me, but it's very entertaining watch. It's 12 rounds, 8 in each categories, with 4 repeating, selected by players, like selected by the opposing players, which kind of makes it run a little longer, but I get what he's doing. Repeating ones are harder, so like you pick out 8 categories, and for those that repeat, they're more difficult, he's starting to say now. But you get 3 doubles, 2 regular doubles, 1 harder, and then you got 30 seconds and no steals. No steals is interesting because like what if someone did just know it? Like I don't know.
I know, I kind of don't like that.
Throw in there. It's a solid thing that he's doing. It's definitely a way to get the gang warmed up for regular season play, with that coming up shortly. So I truly enjoy it. Like all the individual matchups you get to see. The biggest one for me so far, it was the last one, was Clem and Robbie. They said they were the headliner of the week because Jeff said this the last episode, and they proved it. Like Robbie didn't miss a question until like round 10 or something. Like he was going off. But yeah, it's a really fun show, and you haven't got a chance to check that out, I definitely would. And subscribe.
Yeah, and it's got its own.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's got its own YouTube channel, so it's not on the Barstool channel. It's on the Dozen Trivia channel. It was kind of hard to find it actually when you were searching for it. It kept coming up with like the Barstool videos. So if you want to go on Twitter on the Dozen Trivia, they've been tweeting out the actual channel, and it's a lot easier to subscribe from there, in my opinion. The only thing I will say, it got a little stale for me. Even just after the first video, I was kind of like, man, I don't know what I wanted more of. And then I realized after talking on Stoolie Wednesday and kind of watching the other videos too, I haven't been able to watch all of them, but I've watched a bunch of them already. And I realized the doubles are cool. I like that there's multiple doubles, but I think there should just be one hard double, one regular double. And then I think they should have a double dip. Yes, the steals. That's what I think they should have, so that this way, if someone does know it, like you said, that'd be cool to be able to steal it. And Ken Jack even picked his categories based off of the fact that he thought, oh, then Dana can't steal this from me or whatever. So I think the steals would be cool. There were a couple of videos, if you see, I know Keegs got one of the questions. Ken Jock. Yeah, that's why I just repeated myself. That was like the French version of Ken Jack. Um, but he got the Always Sunny question that Dana missed and stuff. So I think that would be cool to have the steals there. I do understand it might get out of hand if somebody steals. The game might be over sooner. But I don't know. In my opinion, I don't mind them just running through all the questions top to bottom instead of doing the picking thing. And then just even if it's a 10-4 game, like I don't know, we got to see every question and it was kind of cool. So I do like what he's doing. To me, it's not like a preseason. It's more like as a baseball player, is like a perfect game showcase. You know what I mean? It's like one-on-one people. You kind of like can see, oh, I like this guy. Maybe he should join my team. Or, oh, could you imagine if we played with him? Oh, look at these niches. These would be good. So I don't know. Might shake some stuff up. Maybe Jerry Scoops his comebacks out and says, trade happened because of this or that. So I don't know. I think it's cool. The videos are long and a lot, but especially if you like the dozen and you like trivia, like they fly by, especially if you watch them in 1.5x. All right, that'll do it for the breakdown. Now let's get into our Barstool Beast of the Week.
I'm the best of the office! I am the best one here! Fight!
Easy one for me this week. It was Chris Clemmer. I'm not even gonna lollygag around it. He was the beast. He came at Dave. He came at Prez. I'm 43. I'm a man. I'm 43. This might be my last job. Like, that's your decision. He just didn't back down. Like when Dave keeps coming at you over the same thing, like you gotta back down a little bit. It seems like. But he just he kept it, man. I mean, he had some balls and he put them on the table. Like, he was the beast of the week. He won that argument. If you beat President argument, you deserve beast for sure. And there's not much more to say about it. We talked about it earlier, but yeah, Chris Clemmer, man. I mean, good for you, buddy. He's a fucking freak. He he didn't get small. He didn't get down in his little box that he likes to do, but he stood up to Prez, and I think he probably gained a lot of respect from Stoolies. Wis Wimmer, man. Yeah, great work this week.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. I think just like you said, the fact that he said he wasn't going to back down and then almost took it too far. I did think Dave was going to fire him right there live on air, especially when he was like, well, then I can't have you here. Then I can't have you here. And he was like, well, then that's your decision. Like, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, God, there's going to be one more thing. And then Dave's like, all right, well, get the fuck out. You're done. My beast of the week is Rico Bosco. So came out with the new show, Healthy Debate. Had Dave on it. It started late. I think that was on purpose. I don't know if it was a bit with Dave. I don't know if it was a bit from Rico. I don't know if it was a producer. Could be real. Who knows? But guess what? Dave Portnoy called into your show. That's a pretty big deal. He blogged multiple times over the holiday break and got the attaboy from Dave. When does he get an attaboy from Dave? So shout out Rico Bosco. Riders are back. Hold off until he says anything. Let's not get physical. But beast of the week, Rico Bosco.
Yep. No argument there. Bosco's been on a roll. The riders are coming. Riders are in waiting for good reason. They see the leaders up and running. Like, he's on a tear. And like I said, he made Nate's list like of the good ones. I forget what Nate calls it, but Rico Bosco, congrats, and also congrats to Chris Clemmer, our Barstool Beast of the Week.
All right, well, that'll move us into the Barstool Least of the Week.
Yeah, it was tough.
So I like that we don't discuss these beforehand, because I'm always like, oh, we're going to have the same one. And then we always have completely different beasts and leasts. I don't know. This one is almost an obvious one, but who do you got?
Stephen Che. Stephen Che. Data was wrong. Stephen Che, you are the Barstool Least of the Week. Apologize.
I know, it's my boy too. I hate it.
Friend of the show, friend of the breakdown, second guest ever. Program. But man, you can't have the data wrong on data day. You can't be losing the VP of football operations before you even move in. You can't be losing your parking spot. It's a bad week for Stephen Che. It's minor setback for a major comeback, like I always say, but Che, you got to be just a little better, man. I don't know if I can trust the data like that. I got to check and see if his bets hit now. I'm worried on taking the data picks right now, because how am I supposed to trust a guy that just lost his title? Like, I saw Adam Schefter tweeted it out, Che. Like, Adam Schefter,
I was just gonna say,
reporting on your employment status. You're just a regular employee now. How am I supposed to trust that guy doesn't have the data. He's not the VP. Like, I don't know, man. It makes him the least for me. It's a, like I said, minus setback for a major comeback, but I expect more from Stephen Che going forward.
Yeah, and just because he's the unanimous least, he'll find a way to make this into something positive or find a way to spin it so that we're wrong. So, dude never takes L's. But again, to be bragging the way that he was last year about the games will never match up, like you guys could try it all you want, and then Big Cat was like, okay, these teams all go 10-6, these teams go 6-10, blah, blah, blah. It was like going through all this, and I think maybe it was last year, so maybe it was 7-10 and 10-7, whatever. And he's like, oh, that's a cop out way to do it, talking about how the numbers would never match up, and he always has them right, and then basically he had done it the year before and messed up, and then did it again this year. So he definitely was my least of the week. He also won me $0 in Roofball still to this day, even though he claims he's the champion. And now Brandon has 2 invites to Roofball, one more than him. So it was just a tough week in general for Stephen Che that day, especially. And not to mention the fact that not just is he a regular employee now, he doesn't have the parking spot that he didn't need anyway because he takes the fucking train into work. So there's no reason for that parking spot anyway. He just wanted that just to have his name there and I guess a blank parking spot. So that was kind of funny. But Stephen Che, friend of the program, reoccurring guest, but you are the least of the week. Okay, now let's get into our Barstool beef of the week.
Fuck you! Well, fuck you too! Oh, my God! What? Brandon,
I'll go ahead and lead this one off, Frankie. I mean, it's pretty obvious what the biggest beef was. I mean, it was Chris versus Dave. It was obvious, but I've already beat that nail dead. So I mean, really, it was Mean Girls versus the world. Mean Girls versus the Barstool world. You good, bro? Just staring at the ceiling. Yeah, Mean Girls versus everybody. It seemed like I mean, they gotta be like a little smarter about what they tweet, but I don't want to like go in too deep on them because we've heard it all week. But yeah, them versus the world, it kind of seemed like that's all I really had besides Clemmer and Dave. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with that anymore because those were the 2 things I thought of more than anything was Dave versus Clemmer and the Mean Girls versus Barstool or the Mean Girls versus, Aria and Michelangelo and whoever else that was going at them. So I think that's a great beef. I specifically picked one, though, that was just recent and also because we do have Nikki Smokes on the pod later coming up. I put Rico versus Nicky Smokes. I think it's a new beef, and I think Dan is the one that's starting it. Obviously, I think we mentioned that in the interview as well. But Big Cat seems to be stirring that pot. Nicky said that he's been stirring it for a while. And if you guys listen to the interview, Smoke says he's ready. He's ready for the riders. So he's ready for all the smoke. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited for it. I picked that as the beef of the week because I want it to continue. I want to see what happens. I want to see if Rico and him go at it, with each other and stuff like that. I think, like I said before, many times, Rico's ability to like take a joke and probably say it too many times is unbelievable and unmatched. But the fact that he can just be quick, just like Nicky Clicky when he's talking to somebody, people don't really get to see that as much because it's usually with Dave and Dan, and he doesn't like to like push back at them. But when it's someone like Marty or, Smacky Jables and all these other guys, he's quick on his feet. So I would love to see him and Smokes go at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready for it. I mean, like Smoke said, he doesn't turn down the fight, just like my dog won't turn down the fight right now. Like,
I was gonna say beef of the
if
week, Mayor versus Johnny.
If you're coming at me, you're gonna get the smoke, just like Mayor will, and just like if you're Smokes or Rico, and those 2 guys that just don't back down. So yeah, and I'm fighting through adversity over here. My dog's been a pain in the ass this whole episode, including the interview. What is your problem? Get out of here, bro. Yeah, he's just he's on one, but yeah, I think it's a great beef. I got no qualms with that.
All right, now let's move into the comment or reply of the week.
Vacation mode. Kite! I'm flying a kite right now. Let's go.
I'll go ahead and take the reins again, Frankie. Mine is a Barstool personality. I kind of took a cop out here, but it was the tweet of the week. It was the reply of the week. It was the quote of the week. It was John Rich. He quote tweeted Stephen Che. So Stephen Che, of course, effective immediately. I, Stephen Che, am resigning as VP of Football Operations at Barstool Sports. I've decided to do this instead of facing a scrutinous third-party investigation into my failures in this role. I am now just a regular employee at Barstool Sports. And almost instantly, John Rich quote tweeted it, said such a shitty and tone-deaf tweet. People lost their jobs for real last week. So like a shot at like what Clemmer said with the Mean Girls and stuff.
Yep.
Like perfect timing. I mean, it could have been better. Like he did it as it was like tweeted. It was like that because
Yep.
it was right on cue. Like Big Cat read it on the yak. But yeah, I mean 2.1 million views, 9,305 likes, 107 retweets, like or reposts. Sorry, X. But yeah, I mean it was the tweet of the week, comment of the week, all the above. He crushed it with that one. It made me laugh for a while for sure.
Yeah, well, it could have been unanimous. That was the one I had to for the comment reply of the week. It was the timing was epic. Like I said earlier, John Rich just fits in the Barstool universe so well. His timing just on tweets and what to say too, just perfect. And shout out John Rich. What a great tweet that was. But because you used him, and I don't like to do unanimous things, especially when it comes to like a comment when we can, call some other people out or, in a good way. I'm going to shout out the name's Calvin123 on YouTube, and on Twitter, he is at Flock C Wood. So it's a guy named Calvin. He commented on PMT and said, Hank always looks like he's trying to remember if he turned off the oven or not. And it got like 300 likes or something like that. And it's just an absolutely hilarious comment because when you think about it, and then you start to think about, well, what does that face look like when you're like, did I turn the oven off or not? And then you look at Hank, it's like, oh, that's him. That's the one. So it was funny because Hank quote tweeted it and said, I got to get better at listening on camera. I don't want to be looking at my phone the whole time, but I'm either looking blankly ahead or just shaking my head up and down, smiling like a weirdo. Not sure what's worse. So it's funny because I think I mentioned to you before when I talk on here, I feel like I'm like constantly moving my head too much. And I'm like, I got to stop moving my head and saying I was just about to say, or I was just saying, or whatever.
Right.
So I feel you, Hank. I feel you because it seems like he was trying not to pull the Dwight Schrute.
Right. Yeah, and it came in the episode of them mentioning how bad of a listener Hank is because
Right.
or was that this episode? I might be wrong, but yeah, they were talking about
Well, it was this week.
Yeah, they were talking about how
Yeah.
bad of a listener Hank is. I think it was on Friday's episode. They were talking about it. Yeah, because they were doing picks and he took someone else's pick and they were like, yeah, bad listener Hank. So now that's going to be like his thing until he gets it corrected. It's a great comment. Shout out Neil. Shout out Stooley's Club for, throwing us a couple recommendations too this week. We appreciate you, Neil.
Yeah. Always love that for sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys as always for sticking along with the breakdown this far. We always appreciate you guys sticking along through the breakdown in the segments. If you find any good comments or replies or beats, go ahead and tag Stool Breakdown in there and get us involved because we love the recommendations. We are now going to roll into another great interview we got to conduct with Nicky Smokes, the $100,000 man, the 67% NFL gambler, or so we shall see. But I mean, we talk a little bit about his past prior to Barstool, what got him into Barstool, and then what he expects in the future and how he's meshing along with all the guys. And now, Nicky Smokes.
All right, we're here with the $100,000 man, Nicky Smokes. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing great. It's been an absolute honor to be here, and I've only been here for 35 seconds, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's a smooth start as always. Yeah, I usually get it rolling here with the pretty basic question, and everyone kind of knows your story, like going back to like the bet and all that. But like, what got you into Barstool in the first place? Like, was there like a defining moment too? Like, man, I got to follow this shit.
Honestly, it was probably when Perez got arrested, like at the NFL headquarters, because at that time you never really had a media network that didn't give a fuck of like how people perceive them. Like we're all kind of the same age. All we really had was like ESPN, NFL Network, like all the suit and tie bullshit. But you never really had a network where you felt like you were just watching your boys talk on TV, on camera. So like that was kind of like the tip of the iceberg for me, I'd say.
I totally respect that. It's kind of like when I got into Barstool, it was like I was listening to like First Take and all that shit driving into base or whatever because hours of traffic, and then Part of My Take came up on the radar, and I was like, I love this shit. Like, this is way more relatable. Like, this is how I think about the sport. So I definitely see like where you're coming from on that aspect. And like, so for those that don't know, like, I don't know if like viewers that don't know how Nicky Smokes got hired, how did that all begin?
Yeah, so it's actually a wild story. So when the Chiefs played the Niners in the Super Bowl, Kobe had just passed away.
Rip, that's my guy.
Yeah, me too. I love Kobe. And then I was watching Gary Vee at the time because it was COVID, and it was like, if you ever want to get a job, follow every single employee at the company, DM them, yada yada yada. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it, whatever. And it just so happens, like, I followed Dana Beers, and the next day he sends out a tweet. Does anyone have a Kobe Bryant jersey in Miami? We want it for a pizza review. So I hit him up. I was like, yes. Drove all the way down to Miami, gave him the jersey, and I was actually there for that legendary crackhead video. So that was all the way back in like 2020. Like, I was standing right behind Dana
No
Beers
way.
when that happened. So I gave Dave my business card because like I was 20 years old, 19, and like I wasn't ready for the moment. Like, I didn't show him one video. I didn't tell him shit. Like, I
Right.
just snuck in like my business card at the end. Like, I was scared to even say a word. So then fast forward to last year, the Dolphins are playing the Bills in Miami. And I have this video of me basically just telling all these Bills fans to enjoy their flight home. Like, fuck you, enjoy that flight home. And it
Yeah,
went,
it's very, very aggressive.
yeah, it was
the way
very,
you're
I mean, I was really
saying-
fired up
yeah.
and fucked up. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. But yeah, it went, that thing blew up. And then Dave quote tweeted it and said, this guy sucks. So I'm like, damn, I'm never gonna get hired at Barstool now. I was like, I might as well just stop. Like, I got to go find something else to do. And then Spider, because I was with Spider when I gave him the jersey, he was like, yo, that's the same kid that gave you the jersey. And Dave was like, all right, this kid doesn't suck. He just deserves to get beat up, which I did. But I'm like, all right, maybe this is my break. I don't hear anything. He doesn't follow me, whatever. So then the Dolphins play the Bills in the playoffs in Buffalo. And, you know, I meet up with the guy that I said to go fuck himself. Like, I'm jumping through tables. Like, the content was great. And then Portnoy quote tweeted me again, and he's like, this kid is on a hell of a redemption tour. And then he followed me right there. So I'm like, shit, like, all right, here we go. Like, it's game time. So I'm sitting there waiting for months. Like, is he ever going to hit me up? Never hits me up. Nothing. No DM, nothing. And then the Heat are playing the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And he just starts tweeting at me in the middle of the game, like talking shit. And the Heat were up 3-0. So like the Celtics are finally winning one game, and like he's chirping me on Twitter. I'm like, all right, bet it's go time. Like, let's go. So I'm going back and forth with him. The Celtics end up winning the next 3 games. And the Heat lost game 6 on that Derek White tip-in. And if it wasn't for Derek White tipping that ball in, I probably wouldn't have a job at Barstool, because the next morning, Dave sends me a DM and he goes, do you want to bet game 7? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I want to bet game 7. And he says, I know what I could offer you. What could you possibly offer me? I offered the tattoo. He offered the job. I flew to Boston the next day, went to the game, and they won by 20. And that's how I got hired.
Then you had the crying video, you know,
Yes,
probably a
bro.
little alcohol
Wild.
induced, but I mean, I get that though. It's like if you win a
But,
bet
like,
like that, yeah, like you
I literally felt like I
yeah.
felt like I got drafted into the NFL. Like, that was like that was like me being drafted, because like, bro, it's a journey. Like, I've been making videos since I was like, what, 18, 19. So to go from having to send the link to all your boys, or like praying that one of your friends will drop a comment or repost your shit, and then you do that for 5 years and get absolutely nowhere. And then you fly out to Boston and like you have a bet with the CEO of the company, the guy that you've been trying to get in contact with for 5 years. And that's how you get your job. And then my mom called me. She was crying. So then she started getting me crying. She's like, and just the fact that she got to see her son like work for 5 years, get nothing, and then like end up exactly where he wanted to be. It was just like, it was unreal. Like, I couldn't control my emotions. But I never rewatched that video again. I watched it one time. I'm like, I'm never watching that video again.
Yeah, I feel that you're cringing at yourself almost like, oh, mother.
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus, Smoke, what are you doing? But like, that was raw. Like,
I can never watch myself.
I just couldn't. But it was real, and like, that's all it is, and that's all I ever will be.
Did you ever think the tattoo was a possibility? Because like, honestly, I remember saying, I mean, I believed your emotions, obviously, regardless of if you were fully confident or not. You're getting a job at Barstool would be amazing, especially 100K. Like, that's an amazing thing to get. But did you ever feel like it was a possibility that you weren't going to get,
Great question.
the job there? Because I was pretty confident for you. I'm not going to lie.
It's a great question, and I don't have an answer. And it's something I talked about with my parents and my girlfriend at the time. I was like, I don't know if he's gonna give me the job, even if I get the tattoo. Like, if they lose, he might just make me get a tattoo, and I'm walking around with a Dave was right tattoo selling fucking health insurance. I didn't know, but
you
like,
would have, believe me.
Yeah, that would have been the case.
my close
100%.
family, my close
He would
family
have made
was like,
he would have
"No,
made
like,
you
they'd
grind a
hire
little bit
you."
longer for sure, at least.
I'm like, dude, like he's Dave. Like, I don't think he's just gonna give me the job because I got the tattoo. Maybe later down the road, but like, there's no way I think I would be here right now if they had lost.
But my point was, did you go into that game thinking like what was, I guess, give me a Chris Clemmer percentage of, because in my opinion, I was like, this dude's got a job at Barstool 70%, 30%, he might have to get a tattoo. I was fully confident with the Heat. Maybe it's because I live in Florida and that's, but how confident were you going into that game?
My mindset going in there was just two words, and those words are fuck Boston. Anytime I go to Boston to the TD Garden, we win. Like we were not losing that game. Because on the flight, I was watching ESPN and everyone's picking the Celtics. I was like, this is exactly where I want everyone. Even before the game. Before the game, like Celtics fans, you have no shot. You have no shot. It's exactly where I wanted them. I didn't want one person to pick the Miami Heat.
The odds didn't make any sense either. I'm pretty sure it was like 3-1 Heat lead, and Celtics were still favored to win the series. I was like, how the fuck is this possible?
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. So how has it been then? It's like, so now you're moved into Chicago and you're meshing in with everybody. How's that like process been? Because you got there before the New York move started.
Yeah.
So you kind of got a chance to meet Eddie, Chief, White Sox Dave and all of them. Megan making money. I'm pretty sure they all said they didn't want you dating their daughters or something.
Yeah.
And now you've seen all the New Yorkers come over and you're starting to meet everybody. So how's that whole process been for you?
So when I first started, it was honestly the most awkward thing of all time. Like, I was expecting to walk into a zoo with a ton of people making content, loud environment. I walked in there, my first day, there was 5 people. It was Eddie, Chief, White Sox Dave, and 2 editors. That's it. And I'm sitting in the corner. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't have an HQ account. I don't have the email set up. I have nothing. So I'm literally just sitting there watching TV. Like, and after an hour, I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. Like, I need to do something. So then, like, I had to go through White Sox Dave to get in contact with Nate. And then Nate got me in contact with this guy. And then I finally got set up, and then yada, yada, yada. But this last week, when everyone came, like, now I start to feel it a little bit more. Like, there's more energy. There's more personalities in the office. There's not one seat available for the guys behind the scenes that put in all the work editing videos. So I'm really just now starting to like feel what it's like to work in that office.
Yeah, you finally like feel.
I wonder if it would have changed. I wonder if it would have changed with like Dave not buying it back. You know what I mean? I wonder if it still would have been. I mean, I know there would have been more people, but if it would have been a lot more chill, because I know it's going to be packed now because Dave expects people there, which is good, honestly.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, Dave buying back the company was huge. I mean, unfortunately, like, a lot of people did get let off. But like, him buying it back is just so crucial because like that gaming company, they have so much money. Like, $100,000 to them is like nothing. Like, half the people that they staff, like, they don't care. So, like, for example, like what's recently been going on now, like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, before Dave bought the company back, I could write a blog and that thing will be posted in 15 minutes. Now I could write 5 blogs in a day and maybe one of them will get posted because now Dave's back. So now everyone wants to blog. Everyone wants to fucking work. Let's just put it that way. But 3 weeks ago, and also it was kind of like dead season, people moving, but at least in the email they sent us, there's been 100x the amount of blog submissions and content going up since Dave bought back the company.
Yeah, everyone's got to be, dude, come on, relax. My dog's just been in and out of this. Go away. Go, buddy. Yeah. Anyways, Yeah, Dave being back in control of the pirate ship, definitely, he lights the fire under it. I mean, it was like second day being back in charge. He walked in and made a whole video of like, where the fuck is everybody type thing. So definitely will light the fire on you to work. How has that process been though? Because you weren't like blogging or anything before. You were doing like what, like a YouTube show or like
Yeah,
what
so
was your?
I
I guess it's a two-parter.
never blogged really before I got to Barstool. Like I remember when I had my own thing, which was called like Smoke Sports, which is like the company that I wanted it to be Barstool. Like I was just gonna try to grow that brand until Dave was like, "All right, we'll just buy you out." Like that was my plan at 19 years old. So
Right.
that was like the only time I ever blogged, but I hated blogging. I still don't like blogging. I'm still not a good writer, but I have to. And like I'm just gonna
Right.
get better at it, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but yeah, I've never really been a blogger. I've only been like short content on Twitter, and then I would just talk about the Dolphins and the Heat on YouTube for like an hour. And I would do that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Gotcha.
So you feel more comfortable at the streams like you were like for that
like
NFL
the
stream, I
streams
assume?
is my bread and butter. Like live content, shit like this, microphone in hand, camera on my face. Let me just be Smoke. If you sit me down and I gotta put my thoughts behind a keyboard, I'm a mess. Like I'm fucking useless. I have like 3 brain
Yeah.
cells when it comes to that. But
Yeah,
live
How
action,
were the
like off
vibes
the top
at
of
that?
my head, I love that. What happened?
How were those vibes, by the way, with that first, since it was like the first one? I know like you haven't been there in the past, but like just being there, what was like, how was it vibes
Dude,
for you? And then just in general in the office?
it's funny you say that. It was crazy because I wasn't supposed to be on that stream. Like they didn't put me on the schedule to be on the stream. So it was like 3 o'clock, 3:30, and the Chicago traffic is bad. So I was thinking about leaving the office. But then I went around and I started asking people, like, yo, are you staying for the game? Even though you're not on the stream? They're like, yeah, like a bunch of us stay back. We just watched it on the other TV. So like, all right, cool. Like I'll stay, I'll watch the game like with my coworkers. Like 5 minutes before kickoff, I hear Big Cat go, Nikki. And I don't know if he's talking about me because there's a bunch of Nicks in the office.
Right.
So I didn't move. And then Tommy came up and he grabbed me. He's like, yo, Big Cat wants you in the stream. I'm like, all right, bet. Like, here we go. Like, let's get it. And then the second I sat down, it just felt like I was watching the game with with my boys. Because me and Jerry are very, I don't want to say very close, but in terms of my relationship with most of my coworkers, like me and Jerry are the closest. Like I go to his house twice a week. We hang out. I help him move. We watch football. We get food. He's always checking on me, calling me, texting me, hey, you should do this. Hey, I like that, yada, yada. So me and Jerry are pretty close for the most part. So watching the game with him, I love Che. Me and Che have a pretty good relationship as well. PFT and Big Cat, I love both of them. They're both great guys, but they're icons, like they're bigger than life when it comes to like the industry we're in. So they're always busy. Definitely have a relationship with them, but it's not like I'm sitting there calling Big Cat at 10:30 at night to just talk shop like I would with Jersey Jerry. But yeah, just being plugged in there, man, like it felt normal. It felt natural. And I think that's kind of how the stream went.
Yeah, it helps, especially
Not
like
as
with your
natural as
gambling.
Che.
Yeah, it helps with you having like a gambling background too. So like popping you in the stream when you're rooting for a bet or something, and Kadarius Toney goes ahead and fucks the Chiefs by giving the Lions a free touchdown, like
Free
stuff
touch.
like that. It works out. Yeah, people are like posting that image today. It's like this turned out as a touchdown for the Lions. It was like right in his hands. That guy boned me last night. But yeah, so speaking of like more content going forward, you have the smoke shop. Right, and that's so I saw you had my guy Big Tone on.
Yeah,
Big
I
fan
love
of Big
Big
Tone.
Tone. Shout out Big Tone.
And I'm not too familiar with Vic. So what is like the dynamic of that show? How's that going to work? And like, how often are we going to see that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Monday, Wednesday. So on Mondays, I do like an NFL/Miami Dolphins recap. And then every Wednesdays is like my betting show. So every Wednesday, it's going to be me, Vic, and Big Tone. And then Friday is like an NFL preview/Dolphins preview, which I have later tonight. But for just Big Tone and Vic, I actually found them on Twitter. So I saw one of Big Tone's videos. He followed me. I followed him back. I thought he was hilarious. And then one
He's
day,
a Jersey Jerry guy too.
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I like found him in a sense, because I think Jerry liked his video and like that's how it popped up on my timeline.
Yeah.
And then Vic, because like I get tagged in a lot of shit every day on Twitter, and I really just like don't look at it because it's like people just want me to like retweet them or like this or like just whatever. But this guy, he tagged me in one of his videos, and he was like sparking a J in like the first 5 seconds of it. So I'm like, all right, let me hear this guy out. And I clicked it. And the second I heard his voice, I was like, yo, this is my guy right here. And then I was already thinking I was going to do me in tone. And then I watched that guy's video and I heard his voice. That's him. I'm like, that's the third piece right there. So I've never been more excited for a gambling show. And I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years because Vic knows what he's talking about. Tone's a personality. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm a personality. It's going to work out. I think it's going to be one of the best shows gambling wise for the NFL on YouTube.
Right.
Well, percentage wise, it better be for your sake.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, I'm already 100%.
And for mine though, and for mine because I'm in Florida, but I got a couple proxies right now, so I'm gonna be following along.
Yeah, you should.
You want to know unofficially, officially, right?
Yes,
that's the verbiage on it.
Officially want to know. Want to know in bets that have resulted in money in my pocket. Want to know, I mean, 0-0 because I didn't give the play out on Tuesday, which I should have did, but I showed everyone the ticket, so it's not like I'm making it up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they've had that issue in the past, but that was a little sportsbook related. But so more of your content stuff. There's rumors that you and Frank are going to sit down and talk shop about the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. That's probably like the only thing me and him can really bond over because I go on a show all the time and like he'll just talk about the Mets for like 30 minutes. I'm like, I can't contribute to this conversation. Like, I hate baseball. I don't watch baseball. I'm good at betting it, but I don't watch the games. I don't know the players. Like, I don't give a shit about baseball. And he just goes on his rants about these players. And I'm just sitting there like, Frank, I don't even know who you're talking about. Like I have no idea. Like, I know Pete Alonso's on the team, but like, that's it.
Frank kind of just needs someone to be in front of him so he can give that speech and feel vindicated about it.
Exactly. 100%.
Right. I remember when we interviewed him, I was like, hopefully he'll just go on one of his rants and then they'll just,
good luck, bro. That's what I thought. So before I got the job at Barstool, I had Frank come on as like a guest. I'm like, yes, I got Frank. Like, he's going to give me smoke. It's going to be electric. He was like, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
I'm really
like, who is this? Like, where's the real Frank? Like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah, sometimes some of his answers would just be like, yep. I was like, okay.
Yeah, literally. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm like, word, Frank. Like, good talk.
Yeah.
I think I'm only gonna bring him on my show if they lose.
Oh yeah,
like that's it.
Yeah,
like,
there
if
you
the
go.
Dolphins lose, I'll bring Frank on. If they win, I don't need him.
But if they win, though, he'll still probably have something negative to talk about. So that could also go because people will be like, dude, they won.
I don't want to kill my Victory Monday vibe with like Frank.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like,
that's a good point. I'm a Mets fan, so that's a good point.
Monday, like he's going to a funeral. Like, I don't want that. Like, my viewers don't want that.
That makes sense. It's probably best for the brand. I only have one more, I guess, real question for you. Lakers Heat bubble title it's valid, right?
I mean, if the Heat would have won, I would have counted it. So, like, yeah, it's definitely valid.
Yeah, of course. All right, just making sure. They kind of.
I do think though, like if Goran Dragic played and Bam played, you
guys were pretty banged up.
Won. But no, I mean, I'd count it.
Okay.
Because if the Heat won, I'm counting it. Like, I'm counting it if the Heat won.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's one of
so you don't count it.
Yeah, they didn't. So I mean, I could be an asshole and be like, no, it doesn't count.
No,
I could do that.
I just want to make sure.
You have to be an asshole. What do you mean? Everyone thinks every stoolie have already claimed that you're an asshole just because you got a job.
I don't know how I got
painted, and because you parked in the spot and shit in the girl's bathroom.
Oh, that's it.
Well, first of all, I'm not the first one to do that.
Everything for you.
I'm not the first one to do that, but like that happens every day. Like that's an everyday thing. But I'm the one unlucky prick where after I destroy it, of course, a girl like goes in right after me. Like I'm not going to name names, but every person in that office at one point has shit in the women's restroom. There's only 2 bathrooms in the whole fucking building, and they're exactly the same. The boys' room and the girls' room are identical. There's no urinals in the men's room. It's the same exact fucking bathroom. But yeah,
well,
like
Hannah's pinned tweet is Eddie coming out of the girl's bathroom, and she's
that's what I'm saying, like
brown-handed or whatever. So
I'm being painted the villain more than I try to be the villain at Barstool. Like I'm very nice, very respectful to everyone I meet, and then it's just like there's this one clip like they'll get out of the whole day, and it's just Nikki smokes the asshole. Like when I took
one of my questions was, is your plan to be the heel? I was thinking, like, is that his plan?
It was never my plan. Like my first 3 days at the company, like there was 6 articles written about me and people like taking shots at me. And I'm like, bro, you're not gonna just throw
shout out
punches at me
KFC.
and expect me not to say anything back. Like
Yeah.
you're over here trying me, saying I'm a liar, this, that. Like, bro, like fuck you. Like straight up. Like I didn't want to come in here like throwing shots and having to defend myself, but I'm not gonna just sit here and get rolled over. And I'm also not gonna just sit here and like, be friends with fucking everyone. Like, no, like, I want to stick out. Like, I want to be Nicky Smokes. I don't want to just be another guy that just like sits in the office and no one knows who they are. So
that's
I mean, if that's what they want to paint me, by all means, like I'll play the cards that I'm being dealt. But at the end of the day, like anyone that knows me on a personal level, like they know who I am. So like none of that shit bothers me. Like the chat last night in the live stream, my boy who was texting me, he's like, bro, don't read the chat. I said, I never read the chat.
Yeah.
He's like, they're like, oh, everyone thinks he's on coke. I'm like, bro, I'm definitely not doing blow with Big Cat sitting next to me. Like I can assure you of that.
Right.
But
I think you
even
tweeted out the picture of you like with wide eyes saying locked in.
Well,
it was like the whole
I don't know. I
look.
look so fucked up in like that stream, but it's because like the way the TVs are, like I'm like this, like trying to look at the TV. I look like Bobby Boucher's dad. If you've ever seen The Water Boy, like I literally look cross-eyed the whole fucking stream, and I was like, "This is just terrible."
It's just a bad visual. Sometimes you'll get caught in that spot. It happens.
All right,
especially
I'm just glad I was there, so I don't have any fucking complaints. But like, as for the chat, like the one thing Dave told me when I started, he said, "Don't ever read any comments ever." I was like, "All right," and I took his advice after my first day. I read the comments my first day. I was like, yeah, I'll never do that again. As long as Big Cat fucks with me, Dave fucks with me, like as long as my guys fuck with me, like I'm good. Like I really don't care with what jerk me off 0025631 is like calling me a pussy. Like for sure, dude. Like that shit doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it was for sure. I mean, I feel like you could even like appreciate that though as like a small content creator before you were hired from Barstool. Like you're always gonna have trolls and heels on your ass. Like that's just 100%. How it goes. Yeah.
Stephen Shea was he gave me some wisdom yesterday. He's like, he said personally, I'd rather have people hate me than not have an opinion on me. And I was like, like that's facts. Like,
yeah, that's like an old saying. Yeah. It's like it, hate it, don't be in between.
Yeah, so I'm good with that.
And when we did the TJ interview, he mentioned us on the Yak at the end of it, and then it got on the Reddit, and people like there was a couple people that were like supportive, which I was like, oh, awesome. But then there was like 2 people that were like, oh, this is pathetic, or this can't be serious, whatever. And I was like, fuck, dude. I'm like, God. I'm like, why? And I'm like, wait a second. Fuck these people. Like, who gives a shit? You know, like I just realized I was like, oh, this is what like people have to deal with this 10 to 50 times X every day. You know, so
easy.
Yeah, I got called a leech in one of the YouTube chats the other day. He's like, "Aren't you just a leech breakdown?" I was like, "Fuck you, buddy." I'm like, no.
Yeah, like
we came up with an idea. Sorry about it.
And it's like the people that you have to go out of your way to say something like that. You just have to know that they're miserable. Like they'd give their left nut to be sitting with Big Cat and PFT on a live stream. Like they'd give anything to do it, but they don't want to put in any work. They just want to like sit there and make fun of the people that are either trying to put in the work or have done the work and that are there. So you kind of just, if you don't have people hating on you, like you're not doing anything right. So like the more haters / supporters you have, like the better you're doing.
Go ahead, quote them. Quote your boy, Robert Solid. Do it.
I really don't know. I fuck Robert.
It was from Hard Knocks. He said it on Hard Knocks. That's why he said if you ain't got haters, you ain't popping.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's from a song though, but yeah, it's a good quote though. I like it.
I mean,
but it's funny because I only had. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, bud.
No, I mean it's your Jets question. I was gonna start it. Go ahead. You're fine. Get your Jets shit out of
No, I actually it was a different one.
Right,
so
who finishes? Who finishes higher in the AFC East? Is it the Dolphins or the Jets?
I mean, you know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, it's the Dolphins.
So but what do you believe though?
The Dolphins. Like I think the Jets are very overrated. I think they're a good football team. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think you guys are going to the Super Bowl your first year. Like there's no shot. Hell no.
Yeah.
Who's your number 2 wide receiver? Who's your number 2 wide receiver?
Lazard.
Yeah, nice. That's a good one.
I actually think Brownlee and Gibson are going to be the 2 that stand out this year. Who's your number 2 wide receiver?
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
The
I
first
think it's
round.
one of the
He's
best ones
decent,
you
I
can
guess.
get.
Well, who's your number one? Midget boy? That's okay. I don't need him. It's
Yeah,
okay.
Tyreek Hill that almost had 2,000 yards with 5 backup quarterbacks. Yeah, he's all right.
He's a
Yeah,
pretty
well, we got
decent player.
Reed and we got Reed and Sauce, bro. Those are locked, dude. Who's your number 3?
Braxton Berrios. Shout out Braxton.
Yeah.
Who's
Oh,
your
dude,
number?
former
You don't
vet,
even have a
former
number. You don't
vet.
even know who your number 3 is, and the season starts in 4 days.
That's dude, the homies, dude. Brownlee and Gibson, those are the
Yeah,
homies.
they're
And
dogs.
Cobb,
I'm
Randall,
sure they're
Randall
dogs.
Cobb, bro.
I'm sure they're
Randall
dogs.
Cobb, circa 2010.
That's all right. Either three. I think 3 teams either make it from the AFC East or 3 teams make it from the AFC North. No in between.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, 100%.
Yeah, because my Steelers,
Yeah,
they might fuck around and be the
Steelers are
6th
good, bro.
team. Dude, yeah, people are sleeping
I
on
like
them.
them week
Plus
1.
3. Yep,
I
plus
love
3.
them. I love them
Or
week
it's-
1.
The line's already down to 2.5. So I don't know if you got it on 3, but it's already
Yeah,
down.
no,
to
I got them
2.5.
at 3. I love them though. I like them a lot this week.
Yeah, oh yeah. Especially home dogs. It's Tomlin firing up the boys. No one believes in us.
All
Fuck
day.
yeah.
Tomlin
Easy.
as a home dog is a dog. Like, sign me
I
up.
think it's
I'll blindly bet that every time.
They said it on PMT today. 15-3-1, I think, is a home
Yep.
dog. Yeah, so he's a monster.
No, I was just gonna say before you answered. I only had 2 questions left on my list, and it was about the KFC thing, which you answered. You were like, "I'm not gonna let someone go at me," which is perfect. My only other one, which I gotta know, can you handle the riders? Is this gonna be a
I
thing,
mean,
or are
like,
you just gonna
I can handle anything.
you gonna let it roll?
I
They're
can
ready to
handle
get
anything.
physical.
Like,
They're doing
none,
burpees. They're ready to
none
get
of that
physical.
shit bothers me, bro. It really doesn't. And I met Rico. Like, at least from when I met him, like there
He's a
there
very
was
nice
no
guy.
problems. Like there was no beef. But I think Big Cat, he obviously knows who Rico is, and he knows who I am. And he's trying to like stir the pot because he knows if he gets like me and Rico going at each other, it'd be fireworks. It really, like, that content would be insane because I'm a hothead like when it comes to like sports betting and like passionate about my teams, and he's the same way. And like Big Cat's he's been trying to like pin us against each other since I got there. So like that's where it's coming from. He's like,
Are
he's
you
like,
are you in
"Rico,
on it
keep
though?
you
Or are
as
you
a
like,
threat." I mean, I'm here for whatever. Like if he wants there
all
to
right,
be beef,
I
like
love it.
what's
I
up?
love
Like
it.
I'm here. If he doesn't
Yeah.
want it, like I'm cool with that. Like I said, like at the beginning of the interview, like I didn't come in this company to like pick fights with KFC or pick fights with this writer or pick, like, they all come at me. And like what 50 Cent said, I don't want problems, but if you want a problem, that's not a problem. Like that's how I feel about everything. Like I don't go out of my way to create problems, but if you want one, like, all right, like I'm here.
Yeah, Big Cat is the best in the business during the pot too. No one,
Yeah,
no
no,
one serves the pot
that's
better than
definitely
him.
what he's doing. But like, hey, if it works, it works. So
Yeah,
I'll be just fine.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
for sure. But
Love it.
yeah,
Well,
I've
we
got
appreciate it,
nothing
man.
else. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you
we
guys for
appreciate
having me.
your
I had a
time,
blast.
bro.
Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. After you go 70% in the NFL, we could talk about it.
All right, sounds good, boys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for
Yeah, I
sure.
appreciate you,
All right,
bro.
brother. Appreciate you. Thanks. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview. I tried to grill Nicky Smokes a little bit, but he's actually a good dude. He's not as much of an asshole as we probably thought he was. So it was a great interview. Hope you guys learned some more about Nicky Smokes and you have an opinion either way on him. I mean, he was a good dude, and he said that he was ready to go 70% again. So follow Smokes.
Yeah, I'll be tailing. I'm
Time
gonna keep
for-
track.
Yeah, time for dozen now. I have not even looked at the dozen since last week, to be completely honest with you. I think I did it one time, maybe. So this should be fun. I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to place it face down. Oh. This linebacker out of Auburn enjoyed a career with 2 Pro Bowls and 1 first-team All-Pro selection from 1998 to 2012, playing for 5 teams, including the Bengals, the Bills, and the 49ers.
So an All-Pro that played
Mason
for
Foster.
no.
Who was that guy? Foster? It was like a no.
Did Patrick Willis
Maybe
play with
I'm
anyone else?
thinking of
I don't think Patrick Willis didn't
no,
play.
I think he
The only other one that comes to mind is like good Bills linebackers is like Spikes.
Brandon.
Ever a Niner?
Oh no,
No.
Taquito Spikes.
Takeo. It's like Takeo. TKO.
Yeah, I call him
Takeo.
Taquito because it's like 7-Eleven
That's
taquitos.
the only one. I don't know if he was a Bengal or a Niner though. I don't remember that, but he might have been a Niner.
He was on the Bills.
He was a Bill, but I don't know if he was a Niner. He might be a Niner. He might have ended his career as a Niner, actually. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he played with Willis. They had like a dominant defense, and Spikes was on that. But I'm pretty sure he was an All-Pro as a Bill, for sure. Like he was a beast in the Bill. I remember
He
playing
was
with him in
definitely on the
Madden all the
Bills.
time.
I didn't know that he played for any other team besides them, though.
I think
But that's fine.
he ended his career as a Niner. I think that's the only other one I got. Spikes. Yeah, Spikes was definitely like a dominant linebacker.
Well,
on
both.
the Bills, and
Brandon Spikes was an animal too.
I think, yeah, but I think that Spikes, he ended his career with the Niners. I think, like he played a little with Willis, maybe, or I don't know. They had a really good defense.
There you go. Hank Blaylock, Kenny Rogers, Francisco Cordero, and Milton Bradley were all-stars for this American League team in the 2000s. This is the Rangers.
Yeah, sure.
Do you agree with that? Actually, I know that's correct. This is in February 2013, J.J. Redick was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks in a multiplayer trade from what team
Magic.
that drafted him in 2006? Magic, yeah. It's pretty fucking easy again. With an average ground level elevation less than 2 meters above sea level, the Maldives is the lowest nation in the world and is located in what body of water?
It's an ocean.
I mean, it's got to be Pacific, Indian, or Atlantic, right?
Yeah, I think it's a toss-up. If we had if we miss the first one, we just double dip and go back for it. But I don't know which one you want to guess.
Right. Right.
Maldives.
Maldives. Where is the Maldives? Do you know?
I have no idea. It sounds a little like foreign.
I was gonna say, I was just gonna say Indian Ocean because isn't the Indian Ocean like far away from us?
Yeah, I'd say either Pacific or Indian. Go Indian if you want to. So I go.
Well, I don't know. Do you have any clue?
That was your first guess, Frankie.
Pacific,
I said,
then?
I was just gonna get. No. Go with your first guess. I would say if we miss it on the first one, just go with the other one on a double dip. So I'd probably just go Indian first. Yeah.
Oh shit! Oh my god! It was the Indian Ocean.
No
I thought
problem.
for sure.
Never a doubt. We had it the whole time.
I didn't think it was even going to be one of those three, but I'll take that. I got them both already.
Hater, right? And then the guy from Entourage.
And that's Jeremy Piven, dude. That's Ari Gold. Yep.
It's so hard to see.
I was closer to my room right now. I literally have the book in my room that said it's like, I think it's called, it's something about gold, and it's like the Ari Gold like book. I don't know. It's like biography. It's fucking awesome. Snacks and candy. Introduced 2001 and known as Reese's version of a Milky Way. This candy bar with milk chocolate
Fast break
is milk chocolate over a peanut butter and soft. Yeah, that's easy too. Mash these, dude, before every baseball game. Fast break and Subway. Save the cheerleaders, save the world. Heroes, baby.
You know that
show and marketing tagline for NBC drama that ran. Heroes, yeah, dude. Are you kidding me?
Never even heard of that.
You've never heard of Heroes?
Never
oh my
seen
god,
it.
dude, Heroes is sick. Actually, like the first couple seasons are okay, and then it's just like insane after that. But dude, shout out Hayden Panettiere. Oh fuck, I don't know how old she was during that show, but shout out to her, 18 plus. But yeah, she was the cheerleader in that show, and that was like, first of all,
She had to be of age.
I was young then too, watching
her.
it, so that's probably why I was thinking to myself. I was like,
yeah, she was in Bring It On, and I had a crush on her.
Well, the guy, I remember one of the main guys in the show, his name was Hiro Nakamura, and that was like his thing. He was like, save the cheerleader, save the world. And it was like, I don't know, it was just such a funny ass show that I got a bunch of people into, and then they watched like the whole series, and I stopped after like 2 or 3 seasons because I couldn't deal with it anymore.
I would have 1,000%.
Shout out Heroes.
That one.
That's good. We're together then. All right. Ashton Kutcher, that's like the Saving Mockingbird one last week. I would have had no clue. Ashton Kutcher starred in this 2004 sci-fi thriller about a man who can travel back in time Learn quickly that
Butterfly
changing
effect.
past drastically changed the present. That would be the butterfly effect.
About to go perfect again, motherfuckers. I would have missed MLB.
I'm gonna say
I
we're
would've
gonna have to
missed
just cheat if we do this again. This DJ has released over 100 singles and had a popular remix of Kid Cudi's "Pursuit of Happiness," and is also the son of the man who founded the restaurant Benihana.
Steve Aoki, I think.
Son of the man who founded.
No, he had a banger remix of "Pursuit of Happiness." It's Steve
Seriously?
Aoki. Yeah, it's Steve Aoki, 100%. No doubt. Perfect board. Perfect
I
grid.
thought you were just saying that because he's Asian. I was
No,
like, what the fuck?
No, bro. No, it's Steve Aoki. I don't even know the Benihana part, but "Pursuit of Happiness," he had a banger remix
Oh
of it.
shit,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, well I do remember that yeah, well it was in Project X, right? When they're doing that crazy big ass party, like I'm in the pursuit of happiness, and I
think so. I
know.
wouldn't have gotten mashup because I don't know Jeremy Piven's name until now. I wouldn't have gotten geography until a double sip. I wouldn't have gotten television. Like it would have been a little rough by myself for sure. But it doesn't matter. It makes it all that much better to be on Barstool Breakdown.
Absolutely. Viva.
It's the Barstool Breakdown. Go ahead and give it to me. Breakdown. Let's listen to those guys.